Or is it?
This is weird. I forgot my headphones in my locker. So I'm going to run to go get them at some point during this segment, James. I'm going to have you talk, and I'm going to go run out and get those out of my locker. I did manage to get a snack out of the locker of Snackitude.
Yep.
But I did not grab my headphones. I've been here for about an hour and a half. And the one thing I need to hear my own damn program, I have forgotten. Alas, we will get that figured out. Just like the Kings figured out the Los Angeles Lakers this season, a 120-107 win last night for Sacramento. They complete the season sweep over the Los Angeles Lakers. And there is so much to dive into here. But I think the thing for me is there's two things with the Lakers, right? There's a rivalry here from Sacramento. Whether the Lakers see it as such as whatever.
Well, Kyle, in order to have a rivalry,
you know what? Great point.
The other team has to actually win every once in a while.
It's a really good point by you.
Kings are 7-1 over the last 2 seasons against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, they've dominated, and I think that is more a sign of. This is the Kings. We've asked them all year, like, take care of business against worse teams. And that's what the Lakers are. The star power may be greater in Los Angeles. And the Laker uniform may also, forum blue and gold or whatever it is. The purple and gold colors are always going to carry a cachet that outside of Boston, no other team is ever going to really have. The Spurs were dominant for a long time. The Heat have been really good for what feels like 2 decades. The Warriors have had their run. Nobody is touching what it means to play for the Lakers and to be a Los Angeles Laker.
Mm-hmm.
But strip all that, and the Lakers are just a very mid to bad basketball team.
I totally agree. They're a collection of players. They're not a team.
Yeah, and the Kings have rightfully dominated this year.
Yeah, and you talk about the cachet of the Lakers. I think it's still alive. Like the officials, 17 of 22 from the free throw line for the Los Angeles Lakers last night, 9 of 12 for the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
The team that dominated, that took the ball to the hole,
mm-hmm.
that beat you up, they go to the free throw line 12 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many times De'Aaron Fox has to get fouled. Domantas Sabonis has to get hit in the head. Just the lack of respect. But that's why I keep telling everybody, if you finish in the 7th spot and you got to go through the Lakers and the Warriors to get into the playoffs through the play-in, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the Kings moved to number 6 last night, that's huge.
It's a big deal.
But also that you just put your thumb on the Lakers and you just pushed them down further. Yeah. That's what you had to do here, and the Kings were able to take care of business.
Yeah, maybe the Lakers sneak up and snag that 8 spot from the Mavs. We'll talk about the Mavs a little bit later. The fact that they were the Lakers may do that is fine, but the fact that the Kings pushed them out of potentially the 7, potentially the 6, is great news. That's just one less team to worry about. And I mean, could they mathematically get there still? Could the Lakers pass Sacramento? Yeah, mathematically they definitely could. But it would take a sizable losing streak from the Kings, which we really haven't seen at any point this year.
Or last year.
Yep. Or a sizable winning streak from the Lakers, which I don't necessarily see happening down the stretch here. And those two things happening concurrently, I definitely don't see.
Well, here's the deal, Kyle. The Lakers have 15 games left on their schedule. That's it. The Kings are down to 17.
Mm-hmm.
The Kings are ahead 4 games in the loss column, but now they own the season series, which they already had as of last week.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lakers would have to be 5 games better than the Kings in 17 games, and they only have 15 games to make up those 5 games. So let's just say that the Lakers go 15-0.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean that the Kings they'd have to go 12-5 or worse.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, the Kings could lose that, but the fact that the Lakers have to go 15-0 for that to be a potential thing. Mm-hmm. So let's say the Lakers go 10-5, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
The Kings have 17 games. I mean, there's no way that they're only gonna win a handful of games. There's just no way. So yeah, I don't think that there is a way for the Lakers to jump up and snake bite the Kings.
Not realistically.
Not in the top. Well, I mean, it's just where do the Kings finish? That's going to be the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether you avoid a play-in.
Yeah. I was stunned last night because I just always LeBron has had double-digit points in something like 1,029 straight games.
Wow.
Just an outrageous number of games. That's a lot of games to play, period. That's 12 years of games.
Yeah, we talk about like Harrison Barnes' like consecutive game streak. Is it like 250 games?
Yeah, which is a long time. That's a very impressive streak, no doubt.
Yes.
But 1,000-something games with double digits.
So
I think I've just taken for granted. And then he checks in the late in the third quarter, was it? I think he checked in late in the third quarter, and he only had 8 points still. It was like, I'm sorry, what?
He was a non-factor until like a 2-minute block in the fourth quarter.
Like usually I have a really good feel for when a player is just a non-factor, right?
Yeah.
Like especially, I mean, we'll talk about this guy later, but Harrison Barnes, very much a factor last night. But you can feel when Harrison Barnes is not doing stuff. Last night, I did not realize that with LeBron. If you had said when he checked in at that point, if somebody had just gone like, hey, how many's LeBron got tonight? I'm like, I don't know, 15, 16, something like that.
Yeah.
And no, 8. Just did nothing.
No, he did nothing, but he finishes with 18 points, 9 assists, and 13 rebounds.
So outrageous, dude.
Yeah.
Just a ridiculous player.
I mean, he just like wanders into a near triple-double.
And you see, you wonder where the aging is with him. And it's nights like last night where the game was out of hand and he decides to take over. He had those back-to-back plays where he goes in and dunks it and shows like, wow, that does not look like a 39-year-old.
Yeah.
But he used to do that for 38 minutes a night. And now you might get it in a 3-minute stretch here and a 4-minute stretch here, but it's never, he can't, especially this late in the year. I just don't think he can or wants to go dominate a game for 35, 36 minutes, whether because he physically can or can't. I don't know. I'm not putting anything past him at this point, but he's very much looking into later April.
Well, but you have to actually make it to later April. If he's looking to later April, I mean, he might be talking about like what type of tacos they're having on Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
Like not who they're playing, because later April this team might not, and rightfully they shouldn't be in.
They're just not good, man.
They're not. It's just a collection of players. It's just a bunch of dudes that don't fit together.
Austin Reeves is fine. He is an NBA player for sure, but he's okay.
And he was so good early on in that game, but my goodness, he's tough to watch.
Just when he can't grift fouls, he's a very replacement level NBA player.
Yeah,
and maybe a little above replacement level. I don't want to disparage the guy, but he's just not this superstar in the making that everybody thought he was last year. At least Laker fans thought he was last year. D'Angelo Russell has never been. This is where it's tough. Like on an NBA court, he can play, right? He's obviously an NBA player, and he's been in the league a long time, and he's going to be in the league a long time. But how many times have you looked at a team with D'Angelo Russell on it and been like, dangerous? That's a dangerous team. Not that many times. LeBron's 39 years old. Anthony Davis is whatever Anthony Davis is at this point.
Yeah.
Like Rui Hachimura is fine. Taurean Prince is fine.
Yeah.
But these are all guys they're relying on to be star level players, and they're just not.
Well, Rui is a really, really good scorer, but he doesn't play any defense at all. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't pass the ball.
Which is insane because his body type is like, that is a prototypical 3-and-D wing.
Oh, he just doesn't care.
And he doesn't do
No, he doesn't care. Like that's the problem though. If you're going to surround those two stars, you need 3-and-D players. It's simple. You need a ball handler and you need 3-and-D players. That's it. You don't need Rui Hachimura. You don't need Christian Wood. You don't need D'Angelo Russell. Those guys don't make sense. Even Austin Reeves. Sure. Austin Reeves could play as if you wanted to have him as your point guard and bring the ball up every time. And he can shoot and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that you don't have anyone surrounding those guys who are defensive players or who space the floor for them, Just like that's why when we talk about, the design of the Kings, whether
Yes.
you love what's happening or not, the design is right, except for you need tweaks. You need more defensive players, more 3-and-D players to go with some of these guys, but not quite like what you need with the Lakers. So the Lakers is very simple. They've oversaturated their roster with low budget guys that they have to bring in, because they have no cap space. And then those low budget guys have a good season and then they pay them way too much. And, and again, I don't want to say like these are horrible players, but these are players that are known around the league as scorers or as guys who aren't winners.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't surround LeBron James with a bunch of guys who aren't winners and expect him to just carry them to victory every night.
I think here's the thing. I think this Lakers roster with 2012 LeBron James is probably fine.
Yeah, maybe.
It's probably really good. But on a night-to-night basis, he and Anthony Davis need more than what they're getting. And you just mentioned the construction of the Kings. You see what the system is. Defensively, are they great every night? Although they've been the last 2 nights very, very good on that end. Defensively, are they great? No. But there is an offensive system, and the pieces all work. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yep.
And they get production. With the Lakers, what's the system? What's the plan? They don't play defense, and their offense is reliant on, hey, can Austin Reeves get hot? Is D'Lo hot tonight? Is D'Lo a hot guy
just
tonight?
launch and hit a bunch of...
Is D'Lo the hot guy?
Yeah.
LeBron, can you carry it for 10 minutes? AD, can you go for 30? What do you have? 35, 30, 35, 25, 5 and 5 or whatever it was the other night?
Yeah.
Just an outrageous. Can you do that every night?
Yeah. That's what they've come down to. It really is. It's strange to watch, but you also have to look. Domantas Sabonis is 27. De'Aaron Fox is 26. It's okay for those two to play 35 minutes a night.
No doubt.
LeBron James is 39 and playing the same exact minutes, 35.2 minutes per game. And it's out of necessity.
And like heavy minutes. He can't take possessions off where it's like, yeah, he was on the floor for 35 minutes, but really he was, standing in the corner, guarding a 3-and-D wing. And then on offense, he's kind of meandering on the perimeter and just orchestrating and this and that. Like, no, man, he's playing a lot of really productive minutes, and it's incredible. And he is, establishing himself as if he hadn't already, the greatest player to ever suit up in the NBA. But to what end? Because it's not
wild.
much right now.
No, it's wild.
It's
like I don't know what the plan is here, but it's probably for him to play a couple more years with the Lakers and keep doing the same thing. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. All right, we'll have a ton of Kings-Lakers stuff for you. A huge win for Sacramento last night. We will dive into that. We've got some 49ers updates for you. And there were some Deebo Samuel Ravens trade rumors out there, and the Ravens GM got asked about it today.
Good stuff,
and
Kyle.
really good sound there. We'll play that for you coming up as well. But before all of that, we got to get to 6 quick thoughts from last night. We'll get what James Ham thought of the Kings win over the Lakers coming up next on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Blair, I'm going to go get my headphones.
Go grab those headphones.
Amateur hour over here.
All righty. What's going on, Chatty House? My favorite moment of last night was when we had Keegan Murray stand in and take a charge from LeBron. And LeBron was so baffled that he got called for a charge that was so blatant. You saw Keegan Murray read the entire play. He knew exactly where LeBron was going. He knew LeBron was going to pass it, but he stood in and he got absolutely crushed. And then LeBron keeps just like looking up at the scoreboard, and then the camera inside the arena just is panned down on LeBron's face. So the only thing he's looking up and seeing is himself looking up at the scoreboard like, where's the replay? What happened?
Are you talking about the Keegan one?
Yes.
What's he talking about?
It was brilliant, though, because inside the arena
right
was nothing but LeBron looking at their camera like he's waiting for the scoreboard to replay,
Mhm.
and they won't do it. They just keep showing him, which was spectacular.
Dude, he was 100% like live. That was a charge.
It was easy. It was
Like,
an easy call.
It wasn't even because when they showed the replay, because everybody knows how the Lakers get officiated. Like, oh man, like this is gonna be one of those ones. Like, well, his left shoulder flinched when and I'm just gearing up. And then they show the replay, and it's like, oh, he never moved. He was standing there the entire time.
Yeah, I was watching him on the play. Like, oh no,
he got to that spot.
He's waiting.
The whole time.
Twice he did it in the game where he got crushed. Yeah, really spectacular. And LeBron last night
September 6th.
played 40 minutes. Is that my phone?
No, that was my headphones.
Oh. All right.
You ever gone to an event and been super underdressed?
I try not to, but every once in a while.
But like, has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Said, I think you should leave line. He does this super specific, insane scenario and goes, has that ever happened to you? It's really funny. Anyways, that's how I felt that entire segment without my headphones.
Oh yeah.
Like hearing you not in my headphones was like, this isn't right.
Yeah. Like you forgot your pants and you're just wandering around in your boxers. Like, what's happening?
Done that, but,
no.
I went to go pick up my suit last night for my friend's wedding.
Oh yeah.
Being underdressed. And I was trying it on. I ended up, long story short, I usually order my suits from this online site.
Yep.
And I ordered the same suit I had for a different friend's wedding, which I tried on, fits. I get this suit, does not fit. Like the shoulders are weird, the length is weird. So I'm like, all right, like, but not the length, like anyways. So I didn't have time to send it back and do that whole rigmarole so I was like, all right, just got to go to Men's Warehouse. Shout out Men's Warehouse. Got me all fixed up. But I go to try on my suit last night and I try it on. I go out and I look. I'm like, everything's great. Tailoring looks great. Thanks, guys. I go back in. I throw my shirt on, my cardigan. I hang up my suit. And my hand was on the door to go walking out just in my underwear. Like hand on. I was like, oh my God. Like, what? I lost my mind for a minute.
It's amazing.
I think I was just really glad I had a suit.
All right.
Oh, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Spraying hot guys.
Spray.
Kings did a nice job on the hot guys last night.
Guys.
Sports are weird, man.
Sports are weird.
If you're not a sports person and you hear people talking sports, like if you were not in tune with the Sacramento, like not even the Sacramento, just sports.
Yeah.
You're into the arts and you've gone to museums and you majored in history and you're just like, I've never had time for sports. It's just not my bag.
I've done all of the things that you just said, except for I'm into sports.
Yeah, no, but right. So, but being into art in the way that we're into sports.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Like you can tell me what a Degas looks like. Like I got nothing for you, but imagine you bring that person to Golden One Center and you're like, hey, you're going to sit in Mike Brown's press conference. This is where the coach interviews with the media after the game. That person's like, great. And Mike Brown's like, we got 20 sprays last night. You're like, that's an athlete thing?
What is happening?
Just going down the roster.
And then he combines them.
Going down the roster. This guy's a 4. This guy's a 3. This guy's a 10. Straight dime. Got to close out. Just a weird thing. It's just the language is crazy.
The language is crazy.
When you get right down to it. All right. What's not crazy? It's 6 quick thoughts. Let's get to them.
How'd yesterday's Kings game go? Kings insider James Ham has 6 notes you need to know. Here are James Ham's 6 quick thoughts.
6 quick thoughts could be sponsored by you. Reach out if you own a business or you work for a business that would like to sponsor this segment.
That's right.
We do it after every single Kings game. It is James Ham's 6 quick thoughts. You can also find those on Twitter and also subscribe to the Kings Beat, kingsbeat.com, and subscribe to the Kings Beat podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And get tapped in with 6 quick thoughts. Starts right now. Number 1.
More please. Keegan Murray came out firing against the Lakers after missing Tuesday's win over the Bucks. He looked refreshed, hitting 5 of 9 from long range on his way to 19 points and 11 rebounds. This type of activity is what the Kings need from Murray down the stretch.
I don't know if you remember me saying this 2 shows ago.
2 shows. Okay.
When we were wondering if Keegan Murray was going to play on Tuesday night or not.
Okay.
And I said, maybe a day off would do him some good.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Maybe getting a night off, just rest, kick your feet up, chill out, woosah, get locked back in, and he did, man. This is, we've talked about the importance of Keegan Murray for this year, but if that's the type of Keegan Murray performance offensively and defensively, but particularly offensively, where you're going, okay, now that's it. Not these nights where he's going 3 for 8.
Yeah.
Last night was it. That was great.
I think so too. And if you look at the way, like his defensive presence, everything about him, he's just growing, and you want to see what he looks like in 2 years and 3 years. That's what you fully want to see, how he develops as a player and what his end is.
Yeah. Number 2,
make your case. The Kings came into the night 5-0 when Keon Ellis started. He settled into the role again with Kevin Huerter missing the game with a right leg contusion. Keon didn't disappoint at all. 3 of 5 from deep on his way to 14 points and 3 steals. His defense was incredible, Kyle. Incredible. I feel like we might discuss this more later.
But I'm the idiot for asking Mike Brown if Keon Ellis should start. Okay.
Oh,
but I'm the idiot.
Right. Well, I mean, I've made this point before. There are, so people always say there are no stupid questions. Okay, so first of all, there are stupid questions.
There are definitely stupid questions.
Kyle, there are stupid questions. There are stupid people who ask questions, and on occasion, there are stupid people who ask stupid questions. So, your question was not stupid. It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And it was asked again last night.
Twice.
And it was asked again. It'll be asked again in pregame. It'll be asked again if he's not starting on Saturday.
I know it, man. I know it.
Brilliant.
It'll be asked again if he doesn't start Saturday and they lose.
Yeah. Well, it's sometimes a good bit, but,
I don't know.
My response is always, if you don't like the questions that are asked, maybe you show up and ask the questions yourself.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe you actually show up and do the job.
That's what I'm saying.
Amen. Let's go.
Number 3.
Domantas Sabonis continued his domination of Anthony Davis. My favorite part of the night was all of the photoshops of Anthony Davis as a baby being held by Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis is 10-0 all time. Wow, I typos everywhere in my 6 quick thoughts.
I tried to fix some of them.
Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place last night. I was exhausted, just so everyone knows. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
James wrote, just to let everybody in on the joke, because like you said, you're typing these, it's late. You're on the second night of a back-to-back.
Beat up.
And again, this is an easy typo to make. We have Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis.
Oh no.
Sabins.
He had his 48th. Sabonis had his 48th consecutive double-double. 23rd triple-double. 17 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, and clearly he has a third child, which is named Anthony Davis.
Jason Tim from Hoops Tonight brought this up.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis tried to bulk up for whatever reason. A guy whose key trait was his athleticism and his ability to fly around defensively, and he's now bulked up and still can't hang with a center who is a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an answer, dude.
I just hope that when all NBA voters vote on this exact question: who
Mhm.
makes the All-NBA team?
Mhm.
Domantas Sabonis and his 23 triple doubles and
It'll probably be
60,
closer to 30.
63 double doubles on the season, 63 or 64, to go with the streak and everything else, and the 10-0.
Mhm.
Like, understand who's a better player, who's a more impactful player. I don't care what it is.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
I want voters to actually vote on who wins
Here-
basketball games and who doesn't,
Can I?
who plays every night and who
here,
doesn't. Come on.
We have a lot to get to. We're
Yeah.
gonna put a pin in the Sabonis conversation for a second, and I wanna talk about that very thing. So I'm gonna write down Sabonis All-NBA, and we'll get to that in the next segment. Number 4.
Slow start. De'Aaron Fox started the game 1 of 7 from the field. He finished 9 of 20, chipped in 7 assists, 21 points. He wasn't like incredible, but he was good.
He's not going to be remarkable every single night.
Yeah.
That's just impossible. But what separates the good player? Jordan Poole that's a bad example. Help me out. Give me a Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine can be great on any given night when he's healthy. But it's the off nights and how are you impacting the game when you're not, shooting it that well? And De'Aaron over the last couple of years has done a really, really nice job of when he is not putting the ball in the basket, still impacting the game, whether it's defensively, whether it's setting up teammates, whether it's grabbing a tough rebound, just making winning plays. He is a great, great player.
Yes.
Number 5.
Two-way. Harrison Barnes battled AD and LeBron from start to finish. He held his own on the defensive end and then hit like one 3-point shot after another.
Everything.
7-11 from deep, 23 points, including 12 in the fourth quarter. He won that game in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
He broke their spirit.
Every time the Lakers made a little run,
Boom.
bucket,
Boom.
bucket,
Boom.
bucket.
Over LeBron, over AD. It
Didn't
didn't matter. Just nothing but net.
Nope. It was awesome. Really good to see. He might be the Jiffy Lube Fast Break player of the game.
It might
TBD.
be. It might be.
We'll let you know next segment.
Number 6, sweep. Yeah, that's crazy. The Kings improved to 11 games over 500. They swept the Lakers in the season series 4-0, 7-1 over the last 2 seasons, and it keeps going. The last 5 years, they've actually done really well against the Lakers for whatever reason. Yeah, it's not a rivalry.
Haven't been that good, man.
It's not a rivalry if only one team wins, Kyle.
It's a great point.
Just
a quadra-annual,
something like that.
Just a 4 times a year meeting. An annual matchup. Let's talk about that Sabonis All-NBA thing. I want to get to that, and we got to talk about Keon Ellis as well. Excellent again last night. You just mentioned it in 6 quick thoughts. 6-0 the Kings are when he's in the starting lineup. We got to talk about it. We'll hear from Mike Brown next as well on ESPN 1320.
Man,
Clear. Sorry.
I was so exhausted last night. I thought I was gonna fall asleep in the final.
I was honestly pretty impressed that as much of the rundown was done as
I just started throwing it in.
3.5, by the way.
Holy cow, I had a lot of errors. Sorry, people out there who read 6 quick thoughts. The Sabonis one is spectacular, though.
It reminds me of have you heard the John Travolta announcing Idina Menzel winning an award? Or not winning an award. She was going to perform. Yeah, and he goes, you know who Idina Menzel is, right?
I don't think
she
so.
plays Elsa in Frozen.
Oh, okay, got it.
I think she's on Broadway, just great singer, great performer. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. Not her name at all.
Just made something up.
Just on the fly.
Ladies
and gentlemen, the wickedly talented Daryl Sabonis. I am not going to the game on Saturday. I am in my friend's wedding. Shout out to the homie Wade, by the way. I don't think he listens, or he definitely doesn't watch because of work. But Wade has been, when you're in high school and you just kind of you have your big group of friends in high school, and then everybody kind of goes their separate ways, and you might see them if you're in your hometown or whatever. You might see them around and say what's up, but for the most part, you just kind of, at least that was my experience. Wade is one of those people who's from high school that it's been like, I'm glad he stuck around in my life.
All right.
Yeah. Good dude.
Yeah, I have a couple of those still.
Yeah. Then there's those people that you see them like at the gym and they're like, bro, what's up? We should get a beer sometime. Ooh.
Yeah, no.
We have not seen each other in 15 years for a reason, my guy.
There's probably a reason for that. Yeah. And then you get in the cycle where like the person you did not like at all, you run into all the time. And they're different. They've grown up and you're like,
right.
Like,
I'm petty.
I am.
I'm petty as fuck though, dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't care that it was 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, no. You didn't give me the time of day.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you want to know what I'm doing on the radio? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now all of a sudden we're cool. And like you said, that's just the person's grown up. They've probably forgotten being shitty to me.
Yeah.
But
that's funny.
But I'm like, no. Kyle remembers.
Hey, everybody, hit the thumbs up for us if you don't mind. Yeah.
Wow. Rondale Moore being traded to Atlanta for Desmond Ridder.
Oh.
Player for player swap in the NFL is different.
That's rare.
So yeah, no, not going to the game on Saturday.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this is a weird thing. I don't know what the plan is with Desmond Ridder for them.
For who? Who traded for him?
The Cardinals.
Oh, well.
Here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Got a player for player swap in the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons are trading quarterback Desmond Ridder to the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for wide receiver Rondale Moore. Just an odd, very weird in the NFL to see player for player trades.
Yeah, that is strange.
And I also don't know, I get why the Falcons would do that. They just got Kirk Cousins. Rondale Moore is a little bit of like a gadget player, do everything type of weapon. You bring him in and you put him with Kyle Pitts and with Drake London and with Bijan Robinson. Like, that's just a good, like, okay, I get it. I get that mix. I don't get the Desmond Ridder thing for the Cardinals. Insurance policy for Kyler Murray, I guess.
Well, he is hurt all the time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just never really understood if you have a running quarterback that you don't back him up with another running quarterback.
Desmond Ridder can move.
Not like
not like Kyler, but there's not that many dudes that move like Kyler.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think I guess it works.
What if they traded
John Poles brings up a great point here. It gives some insight. If you're into the Arizona Cardinals and into their drafting, I think they picked 4th.
Probably.
He said Arizona must be drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think they should trade for Justin Fields and just have 2 little quarterbacks and sometimes do a 2 quarterback set.
Justin Fields is huge though.
Yeah.
They'd have a little quarterback and a big quarterback.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be fun.
At some point, it feels like the NFL's trending that way. We're going to get some weird 2 quarterbacks on the field because one of them also like Taysom Hill type of player.
Yeah.
Where he's not a quarterback, but definitely capable of throwing it.
Just totally disrespect the running back position all the way till it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're not even going to have a running back. We're just going to have 2 quarterbacks.
You know what's funny?
Forget you guys.
This offseason, it's been, running backs have been changing teams, right? All the running backs who were on their 1-year deals or finishing their deals that didn't get extended or were on the franchise tag or whatever it is. All of them changed teams and we've got all this movement. Everyone's like, wow, the running back market. It's like, they're still not getting paid.
No.
There's still the whole issue was that running backs are not getting paid, not that people weren't going to. So yeah, if you can go get Tony Pollard for $8 million a year or whatever he got, like, yeah, you'll take that. But you're not going to sign Tony Pollard to top of the running back market money.
No,
or any running back for that matter.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, we do need to have Faraz Siddiqui in here to help break down all of this stuff, because for fantasy football players, I don't even understand. Like, all the running back movement is wild. We're talking like 8 starting running backs have changed teams.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be wild draft day. The guy in your fantasy league who never preps, who shows up with a book that clearly has never been opened and doesn't even have a pen and has to ask if anyone has a pen, that guy is going to have no idea that Tony Pollard is in Tennessee, or that, that Josh Jacobs is with the Packers, or Aaron Jones is with the Vikings.
Yeah. DeAndre Swift now with the Bears.
Yeah, I just keeps going though. I mean, Austin Eckler is with the Commanders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That 2-year deal for him, I believe.
Yeah, and then we've got
Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
That's right. Gus Edwards to
Saquon to the Eagles.
Chargers. Saquon to the Eagles. Look at us pulling stuff out of our brains. Wow.
Those are all the major ones?
I think so.
Did you say Antonio Gibson to
where did Patriots?
Patriots. That sounds right.
I think it is right.
That sounds right.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah. I feel like we just had like a Harry Potter moment where we like pulled the memory out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
Go drop
I'm running on fumes here,
drop
man.
it in the pensive.
That's right.
So last segment we talked about Domantas Sabonis and his All-NBA chances, and you talked about how you're hoping that voters take into account his domination of Anthony Davis and all the triple doubles and this and that. I actually think that this is where Sabonis. So there's 2 factors at play here. One, remember, this is the year they're starting no positions in All-NBA.
Oh yeah.
If voters decide that the 15 best players in the league are all point guards,
yeah,
then it could be 15 point guards or the 3 All-NBA teams.
Tough.
So that's, I think that, I don't know if that helps or hurts Sabonis, but I think it might ultimately hurt him, depending on how the league how voters kind of wind up looking at this. But hang on. This is where I actually think missing the All-Star team could help him with All-NBA. And I think the same might go for De'Aaron Fox. Because when you look at, and maybe it's not on the Get Up or whatever ESPN show you have on, maybe it's not a discussion point on there. But when you go and you read anything about, and now you read anything about Domantas Sabonis nationally, there's always a note in there about how he was snubbed from the All-Star team. And I think that has permeated the consciousness of the NBA writer and NBA voter enough. And the fact that he's now on the heels and knock on wood, going to break Kevin Love's record for double-doubles since the merger, consecutive double-doubles since the merger. Mm-hmm. He's going to lead the league in triple-doubles. He said he's at 23 right now. He'll probably wind up at 30 or close to it. I think those are all the things where people are going to go, oh my God. League leader in triple-doubles, broke Kevin Love's consecutive double-double record.
League leader in rebounds
for the 2nd consecutive year, and somehow
5th in assists.
Yeah, he's gonna be damn near averaging a triple-double.
Oh yeah,
and he's going to have not made the All-Star team. I think that's something that voters are going to definitely take into account. And I think the 10-0 against Anthony Davis thing is a big enough deal as well. I think doing that on ESPN probably helps quite a bit in a spot where everybody's going, okay, it's Laker time. This is late. They're turning it on. They're turning it up. I was listening to a podcast and they do a little like betting. This is brought to you by such and such, and I'm taking this and this. And it was an old podcast. And the guy went, I'm taking the Lakers -3 at Sacramento. They're turning on. They're going to go get some revenge. And I'm taking D'Angelo Russell, 20 plus points. Like that was the perception. The Lakers are going to go in and do that. And you have Sabonis go out and have a triple-double and stuff Anthony Davis in a locker for a 10th consecutive time. I do think that is going to be a factor when it comes to All-NBA voting.
I hope so. Yeah, and I also hope that whoever it was that had that podcast that was telling people to place those bets, like that people don't actually subscribe to him.
For what it's worth, it wasn't.
tough.
It's a like basketball talk podcast. They
Yeah.
just have a sponsored little read, and in the read they say, "I like this game and I like this prop."
Yeah, and I would just tell you, like, when I do prize picks, don't follow my prize picks. I'm horrible at it. Like, I'm having a good time, but I'm horrible at it.
I got to tell you, Keon Ellis shutting down Dame hurt the other night.
Yeah.
I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Should we start doing a segment about prize picks? They gotta pay us first.
Yeah, if they want to sponsor us, for sure. They want to sponsor the show. They do sponsor the Kings Beat.
Yeah, sponsor Kansas City Chronicles.
Yeah.
Come on. Now we're together. This just makes sense.
It does.
Come on, prize
Synergy.
picks.
Synergy.
We'll
people.
do whole segments doing picks.
Yeah.
We'll get the Chatty House in on it.
I totally agree.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to start doing this on a daily basis without a sponsor. I'm not going to do a read or anything.
Oh.
But I'm going to survey the Chatty House for a prize picks entry.
Oh. That's sketch, man. I don't know.
Oh, I'm super in. There's no way it's going to be worse than whatever I do.
Wow.
All right, mark that down. 11:30 segment. Chatty House, buckle up. You're making a prize picks entry for me.
Okay.
Anyways. Domantas Sabonis, All-NBA. Your thoughts?
I mean, it doesn't, like, it's such a no-brainer. And it's funny. I'm always in the media room and people are like, yeah, well, I would vote for him, but, I don't have a vote. That's
Sure.
what I hear all the time. Well, I don't have a vote. But then there are people in the room that do have a vote. And you're looking at them like, hey, are you watching what's happening here? And it's, I don't know what else to make of it. Like, he's one of the most dominant players in the NBA.
Mhm.
Every single night, dominant.
Every night. Every night.
Doesn't miss a game.
I'm going to go find his worst game of the year.
Puts up
Go
a
ahead.
triple-double almost every single game. And it's crazy to watch. And it's effortless. It's not effortless, though. Because this guy is in there battling with everybody.
It looks easy.
Well, the numbers just show up. You're looking, it's the end of the first quarter, and he's at 7, 7, and 4. And you're like, oh, he's going to have another triple-double.
Yeah.
Just
first quarter.
Last night, he almost didn't have a triple-double. Like, it got a little dicey. He got an assist late on a spray 3. He got a rebound and a flip out to Harrison Barnes, a hot guy, for a spray 3.
Sprayed the hot guy. Nice.
Yes.
Okay, Domas. His 4 worst games of the year. And this is according to Basketball Reference's game score.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly how it's calculated, but typically when you sort by that and you start kind of going through the numbers, you're like, okay, this makes sense. All 4 games, double-digit losses. 2 against Houston, 1 against New Orleans, 1 against the Clippers.
Okay.
All in November, mind you. His 4 worst games of the year by game score. I'll give you 11 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 8, 8, and 5, and 11, 5, and 3.
Okay.
Those are his worst games of the year. Do you know how many players would take 11, 5, and 3 as their worst game of the season?
Oh, yeah.
Like, most of them.
No, I mean, and it's just a consistency that we've seen.
Right.
I think that might be the biggest thing. Like, he opened the season, the 3 games in October. He averaged 17.7, 15 rebounds, 5.7 assists.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's 18.9, 10.9, and 7.2. Then we get to the month of December. Like, this is the meat of the season. Every single month, 20.3, 20.8, 20, 21.4.
Man.
Rebounds, 13.1, 14.5, 13.8, 16.9. He's averaging 16.9 rebounds per game in the month of March in 7 games. 7.2 assists, 8.2, 9 assists, 10.2, and 8.4. In the month of February, the dude averaged 20, 13.8, and 10.2. Triple-double. Yeah,
Man.
like what we're seeing from him is just spectacular. His 3-point shooting. I mean, we talked about this. The month of January, he shot 71.4% from 3.
I refuse to give him credit for his 3-point shooting. I need
Because he
more
wa-
of them, dude.
because he
I
wants
need a
for
higher
more.
volume, bro.
I get it.
That's not to disparage him. That is me going like, hey, man, help.
Yeah, he does need more. I know he's only got 73 point attempts on the year.
1.1 a game, which is right in line. He's literally He was 1.1 a game and 0.4 makes last year. He's at 1.1 a game and 0.4 makes this year. He's also shooting the exact same percentage from the field as he did last year.
Crazy. He's also quietly got up to 70% from the free throw line.
Look at him go.
Yeah. Good for you, Domas.
Look at him go. Yeah, man. I don't know how you're going to make him All-NBA last year, third team, and then this year say no when he's better.
Well, that and it's not just third team. He made All-NBA and was the Fox was 11th in voting and Sabonis was 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't even like the scraggler at the end of the All-NBA voting.
Yeah, he was just his position put him at third.
Yeah, and then when you factor in that Joel Embiid is not eligible, I mean, that's big. When you factor in, and then if there's no positions, that Donovan Mitchell's not eligible now. And there's going to be more. By the time we get to the end of the season, it's possible that Devin Booker, it's possible. Well, there's a lot of guys that could miss too many games and not be eligible for All-NBA.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's really good. It's fun to watch.
Really good player. So, and I think just to kind of get back to my original point, I think him missing the All-Star game might actually wind up helping him.
It might.
Where people are like, okay, that was ridiculous. This dude's first team All-NBA or second team, whatever they think he is.
Well, I think you're going to have you can make the same case for Fox. I mean, he's averaging 27.2. Last year, he averaged 25.3. He's second in the league or third in the league in steals. You know, he's one of the best closers in the game. And you're going to have to consider him as well.
Yeah. I do wonder if any or how much of it will depend on where Sacramento finishes.
Yeah.
Like if they fall apart a little bit here down the stretch and they finish the 8 seed, I think it's gonna be really hard to have 2 All-NBA dudes.
Oh, yeah.
But if they climb up and wind up beating the Clippers, or not beating the Clippers, but catching the Clippers, are 3.5 back now, and they get to that 4 seed in a West that features the Clippers and in a Pacific Division that features the Clippers. You've got
Lakers,
the Lakers, the Warriors, which again are not, as we've established, not great teams. But I saw somebody from a Denver media person yesterday. Like, what's it say about the Nuggets that they're, I think, 13-0 against the Heat, Celtics, Warriors, and Lakers? It's like, well, 3 of those teams aren't very good.
Yeah.
3 of those teams are just okay.
Well, they're also 1-3 against the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
Just saying. What does that say?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That doesn't help that guy's agenda.
No.
Yeah, the Lakers 9 seed, Warriors 10 seed, Heat 8 seed. Like, come on, man.
Well, I think the other thing too, people need to watch for. You got the Knicks on Saturday. Saturday is going to be a really tough game.
Saturday is going to be tough, dude.
The Knicks are tough. They just got OG Anunoby back, and he's playing really well, and so that's going to be tough. But then Memphis, Toronto, Washington, Orlando, a beat up Philadelphia team, the Mavericks twice, the Jazz. So you got Kings go on a run and put their stamp on this season.
I'm not getting bamboozled.
You're still not.
Nope.
No,
no, you can't.
I agree.
I mean, it's not to say they cannot go on a run. They absolutely can. If they play the rest of the season the way they have played the last 2 nights. How many games do they have left? 15?
17.
17? If they play the rest of the year like they have the last 2 nights, they could go like 13-4.
Okay.
There are not that many teams on their schedule.
Yeah. There's a stretch after that where you got Clippers, Knicks, Celtics. Knicks, Celtics back-to-back on the road.
Ouch.
Nets, I don't fear, but Thunder, Pelicans, Suns. And that will probably decide where they finish in the standings.
Yeah.
Unless you just go crazy right here and, again, find a way to beat the Knicks.
Okay, so call it 12-5 if they keep playing as well as they've played.
Okay.
That's on the table. But the problem is
that's 50 wins, Kyle.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
The problem is I have no faith that they're gonna. What was that? What was the stretch? It's Knicks and then what? Say it again.
It's Knicks, Celtics, Nets.
No. Coming up. It's like Toronto, Washington.
We go Knicks and then home against the Grizzlies.
Okay.
at Raptors, at Wizards, at Magic. Then you have Philly, Dallas, Utah.
Okay,
all
let's
at
stop
home.
at Philly. That's a 5-game stretch where you have Memphis, you have
Raptors,
Wizards,
Magic, Sixers.
I have as much faith as them going 5-0 in that stretch as I do them going like 2-3.
Well, that and the problem is you can see them losing to the Raptors, beating the Wizards, beating the Magic, losing to the Sixers. And so like you can see 3-2, and you can see 3-2 with like a really, really ugly 3-2 where it's like, what happened?
Yeah, right.
How are you gonna the
Right.
Memphis Grizzlies sitting there? If you can't beat the Memphis Grizzlies by 23 at home, then like what's going on here? Yeah. I mean, Memphis literally their injury report looks like the receipt you get at a CVS.
They lost at home to Charlotte last night.
Yeah.
They got smoked at home in Charlotte last night.
Well, I mean, like
At home by Charlotte.
It's tough. It's tough. Their injury problems are nuts.
But no doubt. This is not to say like here's the deal with the Grizzlies. Ja is going to come back, and the Grizzlies are going to be a 50-win team again. They're going to make a couple of moves. They're going to cruise, and they're going to be fine. Like the Grizzlies are going to be around. But right now, for what we're talking about with the Kings, that's a team that the Kings should dog walk.
Mm-hmm.
But I have despite the last two nights have been incredible. It's been the best 2 nights consecutively of the year for the Kings by a wide margin.
I agree.
They played great against the Bucks, but how many times have we been like, man, they played great, and then they face plant, or they played great and they lost, and then like, oh hey, they snuck out a win the next night. This was 2 all-around dominant performances. One against the number 2 seed in the East, and another against a Lakers team that had been playing better lately.
Well, really, it's against 2 teams with great players as well.
Yeah,
like
stars.
But stars of stars.
Yes.
Like generational talent.
Yes.
And the fact that you were able to survive 2 games one against Giannis, one against LeBron, that's stunning.
Yeah, and not even just survive. Take it to those teams.
Oh yeah,
and be the flat out better team on both nights.
Yes.
We're not coming in here going, oh, they got lucky against the Bucks. Oh boy, they're lucky that Dame missed that shot. Like, no, man, they just housed them.
Yep.
And then they did the same thing last night. That's awesome. And I'm taking nothing away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if they play like that the rest of the way, they're going to win 50+ games.
Yeah.
The problem is, and the reason I will still not be bamboozled, is because the prospect of losing to Memphis or losing to Toronto or losing to Brooklyn or pick a winnable game left on their schedule, it's way too high still.
It's just sitting there. Yeah. I did get to hang out with Harry Giles last night.
How was that?
It was great. He just kind of hung out on the sidelines and talked to me and Deuce Mason for a while, maybe like 10 minutes.
Wow.
Just kind of
cool.
Chilling in pregame. It was good to see him. He's such a good kid, such a good spirit.
This might be the wrong time, but we're just firing it off. Here we go. The relationship that Kings fans and media have with Harry Giles, and what Harry Giles has just kind of meant to Sacramento, and the fact that he comes back with the Nets, right? Was when he first came back this year.
Came back with the Nets,
and in comes out of the tunnel and gets a ovation when he comes out of the tunnel.
Yeah,
checks in last night, gets an ovation, hangs out with media on the sideline before the game, chatting about that, and he didn't do anything. He didn't. It's not to. I'm not. This is not. This is a bigger point. I'm not knocking Harry Giles, but let's be real for a second. He didn't do anything here. He was supposed to be. He was a draft pick, and if he had gotten healthy, he was this great passer and this super high upside player that he just never got to realize that potential. Didn't have the opportunity to realize it because of the injury stuff, and he's trying to battle his way back in, and everybody's rooting for him. But he still has that relationship because that's what fans want out of their players. He busted his ass to try and help this team, and he never said a bad word about the city. The fact that he has this relationship is the reason that when people start booing a little bit and the players get all pissy about it, I cannot back the players because it's so easy to have a great relationship with these fans.
Oh yeah.
And hey, if they're mad, it's like, man, you must have done something, because it's not. If you try super hard, people are going to love you here.
Oh, totally. And Harry Giles, maybe more than any player that I've ever seen, was able to like harness the fans, like like embrace the love of the fans in a way that was unique. Like I really wish, I wish that this would have happened for. Strangely, it's Chris Webber. Like Chris Webber is known like the fans love Chris Webber, but they don't embrace him in the same way. And for me, it's one of those things where if Chris could have ever captured this, if he would have opened himself up to allow the fans in like Harry did.
Yeah.
And like, look, you're right. Harry Giles did very little with the Sacramento Kings. I mean, he played a total of 104 games. He averaged 7 points, 3.9 assists. He never really broke in and like stayed in the rotation. The knee injuries just was nonstop. And it's a little bit of a cautionary tale. It's about someone that you wish, sort of the what could have been, the dream of what Harry Giles could have been as a player. And I mean, but look, this is a kid who blew an ACL when he was 15. He blew his second ACL when he was 17. And then he had another surgery at Duke because when you have bilateral like ACL tears, like you always have to have a cleanup on the first one because you mess your gait up with the second one. And so and then he tore an ACL a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago again. And this is just one of those things where like we were robbed of what could have been a really, really cool story and a really cool player. But that doesn't mean he can't be a really cool human being that like stands out as someone that you want to pull for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can cheer on a guy on the Lakers, that tells you something.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, for
that's
Sacramento Kings fans. Yeah.
And all of that you just said, that's why he's still in the league. If Harry Giles was a jerk and not a person people liked being around, he wouldn't have an NBA jersey on right now.
Yeah,
but people want him to succeed because he's a great dude.
Just a good dude. I mean, he showed up for Game 7 and sat with Versailles courtside. Like, good for him. Yeah.
Shout out to Harry Giles. Glad he's still
chasing his dream. Yeah.
All right, we got scoreboard watching to do. We still got to talk about Keon Ellis, and I have a fun game to play. Also, we got some Niners notes for you. Tons of stuff coming up in the second hour. Don't touch that dial on ESPN 1320. Clear. Oh, son of a... I think we did 4 hours. I think we did 4 hours one day when I was on the radio out here several years ago on Garrett Temple saying that Harry Giles was the best passer on the Kings.
Oh, yeah. I love Garrett Temple. Garrett Temple's my dude.
Garrett Temple opened my eyes to how much NBA players nap.
Oh, I know Domas is a big nap dude.
Same.
Brian, I haven't got to see a lot of Slauson. Like he's a crazy athlete, but not like in a different way. Like when he's got a lane to go dunk, he can do some crazy stuff, but I haven't like he didn't stand out in a sea of players trying to get buckets in Stockton. And I also like there's some things he needs to clean up a little bit. Like I've heard that he is unbearable with the officials. Like he is a guy who is like chirping all game. Like but he's actually really nice every time I see him. He's always very pleasant and he's feisty.
Hey, Ramsey, I was interning this day. I was in the studio for that.
I did a Race in America podcast with Garrett Temple. Me, Garrett Temple, and Doug Christie sat down and did a long podcast. during the Stephon Clark stuff in Sacramento.
Yeah, Garrett's great with that stuff.
He is good. Yeah, just a genuinely good guy with a good story who worked his way into the league. Do we have This is Polo L. Travis Outlaw and Chima Moneki, two super good dudes. Like, Chima Moneki is very, very smart, very, very bright kid. And just like I think he would be a really good commentator when he retires, whenever that is, from playing in Europe. But just a really bright guy. And Travis Outlaw, like whatever happened to Travis Outlaw, it's like he like tripped and fell and forgot how to shoot a 3-point shot when he was in Sacramento.
30 seconds.
It was horrible. I think Travis Outlaw missed his first 28 threes to open a season. Something like that. It was wild. So yeah, I get it. People, every former King is a King's legend. Well, not everybody. Jason Terry, Spencer Ross.
Here we go. Our number two. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're taking you right up to noon. Then we will hand it off to D'Lo and KC. I believe D'Lo will be in with us, hanging out in about 40-ish minutes, 40 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
He's going to hang out with us today. Keon Ellis. Very good again last night. 14 points, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, 8 deflections, Mike Brown said after the game.
Yeah.
Keon had 8 deflections, 3 steals. That is why he is our Jiffy Lube Fast Break player of the game. I was going to do this at the end of the segment, but I was going to forget if I did that. So we're giving away a $100 Jiffy Lube gift certificate, and we are entering you for a chance to win a Sacramento Kings jersey. All you have to do is go to ESPN1320.com. Oh, excuse me. Keon is not the Jiffy Lube Fast Break.
I was like, he was yesterday's
Fast
Break player.
That was yesterday.
Yep.
We'll get to Keon in a second. He was not your Jiffy Lube Fast Break player of the game. Harrison Barnes was. Go to ESPN1320.com. You're going to go to the contest page. It is right there front and center. You click on that, and you're going to enter the code word HB. HB is what we're looking for Harrison Barnes. 23 points last night, 7 of 11 from beyond the arc, 12 fourth quarter points, and knocked down every key 3 that kept the Lakers from really ever getting back in that game last night.
Yeah, it was like dagger.
Huge
dagger.
shot after huge shot for Harrison.
Yeah, absolutely spectacular.
To see.
His confidence was like just like wow, like what is happening? And again, it leaves you thinking like, why do we not see that more often? Like, but hey, there's only one ball, Kyle.
I guess. I don't know. He's just it's less about, and I don't think it's a coincidence that a starter has been out the last 2 games and Harrison Barnes has been really good offensively the last 2 games.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are more opportunities for him to be effective like that. And maybe it's because Keon Ellis isn't as offensively, what's the word I'm looking for? Offense-minded?
Offensively, like aggressive or doesn't demand shots. Like Keon Ellis is perfectly, if he averaged 8 shots a game for his career, he'd be, as a starter, he would be perfectly happy.
Yeah. So he's not as offensive minded, which opens up the door a little bit more for Harrison Barnes with the starting five. But that's the kind of player I want to see every night. Just the aggressiveness, knocking down shots, not passing up open looks to try and put the ball on the deck. I thought he was very, very good last night.
Yeah, I agree, Kyle. And like, look, a lot of times when I watch the Kings and I'm seeing what they're doing, right? I talk about player archetypes. I talk about, like, again, like Kessler Edwards or KZ Okpala, or, man, you just keep going because they kept bringing in guys like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not the answer,
Mm-hmm.
but what they are, they're placeholders that show you what a long, athletic player looks like with this starting group or this group of players.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they show you that if you can go get the player like that, that's better than, just the scaled up version of, then will they fit? Will they not? And that's, I think when we watch Keon Ellis
Mm-hmm.
start, and all of a sudden the other 4 guys in the starting lineup all have big games. All of them are spectacular last night. Again, you can, like, maybe not spectacular, but 21 points from Fox, 23 from Harrison Barnes, 19 from Keegan Murray, 17 points from Sabonis with a triple-double. That's the ingredient that you have to have. Now, whether you have to find a better version or not is up to Keon Ellis.
Yeah.
Like, if Keon Ellis can keep growing and keep showing you that this is who he is and this is what he can bring every night, it does 2 things. Not only does it, like, provide you with, like, a new way of designing your roster and your rotation, but it also saves you a whole bunch of money because you just lock Keon up for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's on a league minimum deal for the next 3 years. After this, it's like,
that's so
it's like
wild,
free.
bro.
It's like a free player, right? And that's part of roster construction. But I think it's also, you're getting a glimpse into what the Kings have to have. It's, again, whether it's Keon or it's someone else, it has to be a 3-and-D player, because what it does is unlocks Harrison Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
It unlocks Keegan Murray. It unlocks, De'Aaron Fox to be more free. I asked Fox last night about, not having to defend the toughest
Mm-hmm.
guy for the entire game on the perimeter because you have Keon next to you. Yeah, it's a good thing. It does, like, but you don't want to take away from what Kevin Huerter's done as well. And Kevin brings something different to the table as a player too. And you've got to figure out ways to keep everybody engaged. And maybe Keon is the future. I don't know. But what we're seeing right now from him, I mean, the fact that he's 6-0 as a starter. Okay.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
I get it, Kyle.
We have been talking all year about consistency and defense and energy, and they need more dogs. Like, that's been the whole thing. It's Keon. He's there. It's him.
He's right there.
It's number 23. He's there. He's
the guy.
Start him. Like, dude, start him. I understand. Okay, it's a delicate process because starting is a big deal.
Yep.
Not every player takes to the idea of, hey, you know what? Hey, we're going to put you in a bench role. We're going to limit your minutes. Also, you're not going to start. Also, you're probably not going to close. But hey, you're still an important piece of this team. That's a hard conversation to have.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand why NBA players who have a mindset that allows them to have the drive necessary to be a professional athlete, they are built different, mentally and physically. And to be told, hey, come here, player X. I'm not even going to name anybody. Player X, come here. We're going to limit your role because we think we have somebody better who's going to help us win. Our winning, it depends upon you playing less. Like, that's hard, dude. That's tough. And I get it. But they're 6-0 when he starts.
But
it's not like, oh, hey, they snuck that one out. I don't think it's a coincidence that their 2 best games of the year, by a lot, have come when Keon Ellis is starting.
I get you, but we're also talking about 6 starts over 65 games.
Sure.
We're not talking about 6 starts in a row. He did that earlier. He had like 4 starts in a row and they won all 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their winning streak this season is with Keon Ellis playing. You remember what happened was before they go on the win streak, they lose a bad game. I think it was in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And Keon Ellis came in and was great in the fourth quarter. So he gets a look because somebody got hurt, fills in, and does the same exact thing where he's just a super important player.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, and it's possible that Keon eventually does start here. But I also I understand what Mike Brown is saying when it's like, look, you have to look at the pluses and minuses of every player, and what Kevin provides does matter. And on top
you're
of
just
that,
throwing names out. Okay, I wasn't gonna name anybody.
well, I mean, if you're starting him, Mike was clear. He's like, look, if people out there want me to start him over Kevin or Keegan or Harrison, I don't know that we're there yet, but we could get there. And the fact is that if you decide to pull the plug on the Kevin Huerter as a starter, because you're not pulling the plug on your 2 6'8" forwards.
Sure.
But if you are going to pull the plug on Kevin Huerter, what damage does that do to Kevin Huerter? And so if it's not just a straight swap out. Like right now, Keon Ellis, you can just keep bumping Keon Ellis's minutes up. And that's going to be what Mike will continue to say until Mike can't. Until he has to okay, look, it's Keon.
It's Keon time.
It's Keon time, and
okay, I get that, and we'll hear from Mike Brown coming up in a bit because he talked about this last night, and I think he makes a fine point. But we're there now. Just for me, we're there.
I don't disagree,
and I get that. I know that Mike Brown has so many more things to deal with than a dummy behind a microphone does. I get that.
Yep.
But it's also really, really hard to watch the Kings the last 2 nights be as dominant as they've been and play with the energy that they've played with and close the games the way they have and solve ostensibly every single problem that we've talked about throughout the year. It's really, really difficult. And I know that several factors go into that. I get it. But it's really hard to not look and go, hey, I see a common denominator.
No, I get you. I just, my point will always be that a head coach more than anyone else knows the vibe, knows the pulse of his team. And there could come a point where this does happen. And it could be that Kevin Huerter misses another game and Keon gets another start. They go 7-0, and all of a sudden you're starting to feel, okay, there's no way to go back at some point. Okay, maybe that's it. Especially if you look at their previous win streak and then you go on a 3-game win streak with Keon Ellis being like a player. We'll see.
Last thing on this. Keon Ellis has played, this isn't even about starting, 16 games this year. Keon Ellis has played 14 or more minutes. The Kings are 12-4 in those games.
Yeah.
Including 6-0 in his starts.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he brings
good freaking player, dude.
Different energy to the court.
Yep.
Straight up.
No doubt. All right. I'm going to keep banging the Keon Ellis start drum. Just FYI. Buckle up.
Buckle up.
It's going to keep coming. I got some 49ers notes and some really, really funny sound from Ravens general manager Eric DaCosta when he was asked about the Deebo Samuel trade rumors. We will hear that next. We'll hear from Mike Brown. And then I have a fun game to play in the final segment as well. Stay tapped into the Insiders on ESPN 1320. Clear.
Vikings are signing Jerry Tillery to a 1-year deal.
Sorry on the keyword, guys. A little miscommunication with promotions because I had the wrong word.
Is it HB or no?
I'm going to run down there and ask right now.
Okay.
I know that. So it was Keon yesterday. And as you heard, I said Keon again.
Yep.
Which must have been what I said to them this morning. So let me go down and
hopefully someone's there.
I'll get it fixed. For now, I guess it's Keon. So if you want to enter Keon, go for it. Pause. 3.5.
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, my guy can't come on our show. Which is too bad. What's that? They are.
Shout out to the homie Joe Brazil.
I mean, we just discussed this on the air, John. Like, do I think like
What would you do?
I don't know. Oh, sorry. It's tough because
I'll answer this one real quick. Kevin Herter. Okay, go on.
yeah, I mean, I think it's tough because I think you do lose a player when you do it. And like everyone has to understand that even if Kevin Herter isn't hitting his threes at a high clip, the way that Kevin Herter plays still does help what they're doing. He helps their offense. Like the way that he drags the defense to one side with his like DHO run, it does help. But the fact that Keon is being able to that he's impacting winning so much without costing your offense, like it's really tough for me to say that he doesn't belong in the starting lineup.
No Kevin Herter last night. 52.3% from the field, 46.3% from three on 41 attempts for the Kings.
Yeah.
Boy.
It's tough. This is why being a head coach, it's complicated.
It is so hard, dude.
Their egos, there are like, look, what you can't have is for Kevin Herter to become a complete non-factor because you need Kevin Herter. This team isn't deep enough to just jettison Kevin Herter in the middle of the season at all. Like, and so that's why, like, I think it's a good conversation. Like, if Kevin can step up and if he could step up and become a really good bench player, I think that would help too. But then you have to look at this offseason. Like, will either of the will Kevin Herter be here after this offseason? And I don't know. What you can't do is have a player who disappears for large segments of the season, including in the playoffs. And that's not who I think Keon is. I also don't think Keon like gets rattled at all.
I think what we wind up seeing is that I think Keon, if the Kings make the playoffs, I think he winds up starting a playoff game or multiple playoff games.
Yeah.
But I think what we see the rest of the way is a quicker hook for somebody in the starting lineup, whether that's Herter or whether change Keegan or Barnes rotation or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think we see him consistently playing more minutes.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, we're already seeing him playing more and more and more.
Here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
All right, we've got it squared away. The Jiffy Lube Fast Break player of the game is Harrison Barnes. The code word is now HB.
HB.
ESPN1320.com. Go to the Jiffy Lube Fast Break contest page. It's right there. You go to the website and click. It's right in the middle of the page. You can't miss it. And enter the code word HB for Harrison Barnes. 23 points, 12 in the fourth quarter, 7 of 11 from beyond the arc. Really good game for Harrison Barnes last night, and helped slam the door on the Lakers as they tried to claw their way back into that one.
Here's an interesting stat, Kyle. Since the All-Star break, Mike Brown has brought this up. Sacramento Kings are now 4th in offensive rating, 119.5. And they are 7-4 since the All-Star break. Here's something crazy, though. Defensive rating, they're 115.4, and their net rating with the last 2 wins has jumped to a plus 4.2, where they
Since the break. Nice.
Their defensive rating since the break is moved up to number 22, where it was around 26 before the last couple of games. So
Yikes.
maybe, that's Keon Ellis in the starting lineup. It has a huge impact on this team without any question. So it's good stuff.
Let's put a pin in the Keon Ellis stuff briefly. We will definitely get back to it. I want to play this Mike Brown sound we have, and I also want to make sure that we play this fun game that I have about last night's win over the Lakers for Sacramento, 120-107, the final there. A couple of 49ers related notes, 49ers offseason related notes. So, number one, Eric Armstead, Sacramento legend, was officially released yesterday, shortly after the start of the new league year. The 49ers announced that Armstead had been released. It allows them to save some money against the cap this year. Instead of saving like $2 million this year with a $25 million dead cap, they spread out that dead cap hit over the next couple of years, and they save $18 million against the cap this year. But that relief doesn't come until June 2nd.
Okay.
So it doesn't really factor into immediate free agency, but it does give them some flexibility, particularly when it comes to extending Brandon Ayuk. That's where that could matter depending on the structure of the contract. To give them a little bit more flexibility in how they want to do that deal, or how Ayuk may want to do that deal. So that'll be something to watch. Shout out to Eric Armstead, man.
Great run.
Excellent career with the 49ers.
And an excellent human being.
Just a really, really good person.
Yes.
And somebody that whatever, he's always going to, I think, be, I don't know. Just, I hesitate to say this because I don't know his plans, but I imagine he will be one of those people that always comes back to Sacramento and will always be around and helping in this community, because that is just what he's done. I think you could contend that as good as he's been on the field, as excellent as he has been on the field as a first round pick, 33.5 sacks, 116 games, dealt with some injuries early in his career. And then for 4 seasons, while the 49ers were really on the rise, became a model of durability, didn't miss a game for 4 years, led the team in sacks in 2019. The last couple of years has been a really, really important part of their defense transitioning. There's a lot of things that Eric Armstead's that player that, if I'm lucky enough to have kids someday, they'll look and go, well, if you look at his stats, like the stats weren't amazing, but it's like, dude, that doesn't reflect the impact he had, particularly on the field. And it definitely, as you said, as good as he's been on the field, he's been somehow better off of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like a guy who lived up to expectations. And for a team that has had a lot of top-tier picks not live up to expectations, and he's been a fixture here in this community. His father is a complete fixture in the Sacramento community, has been for decades. And look, I wish the best for him, but I think we all knew that this was coming.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even need to get to the end of the season. You could look at it at the beginning of the season and know that one of the first cap hits was going to be right here. And I wish that there was a way they could work something out and brought him back at a more reasonable rate that would make sense for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the way it works all the time in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I hope that he finds his contract. He'll be back here in Sacramento. This is home. Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
And he's going to be one of those players who signs with, maybe it's the Browns. I know Matt Barrows from The Athletic last night said to watch for the Bills. It wouldn't shock me if he winds up with a team like the Rams, or he's the kind of player that the Ravens go sign,
mm-hmm.
or the Chiefs. And everybody goes, they got Eric Armstead for what?
Yeah.
That's the kind of player he's going to help a team for sure. His career is most certainly not over. He's still only 30, and he's still got, I think, a lot of good football ahead of him. So best of luck to Eric Armstead, man. A heck of a career with the 49ers. The other thing that happened yesterday was we talked a little bit during the show. Right before our program started, Eric Kendricks, former All-Pro linebacker, spent, I believe it was 7 years with the Vikings, maybe 8, and then spent a year with the Chargers. Was going to sign with the 49ers, agreed to a deal. It later came down that he backed out of that deal to go join his former defensive coordinator and head coach, Mike Zimmer, who is now the defensive coordinator in Dallas.
Mm.
So he'll be hanging out in the second level for the Dallas Cowboys instead.
It's a tough look.
Yeah. This happens sometimes.
It does.
Congratulations to the Cowboys. They got to win over the 49ers. It's big time for them. No, that's a tough. I mean, what this does for San Francisco is it immediately launches linebacker back up their list of needs, because if you were going to start Eric Kendricks, well, Dre Greenlaw is out, it's like, man, you're doing all right. Like, Kendricks is a good player, really reliable tackler. At one point was one of the best coverage linebackers in the league. He's fallen off a little bit there as he's gotten into his 30s, but still a fine player who would be really good next to Fred Warner. And now all of a sudden the Niners need linebackers again.
Yeah, they're gonna have to either find one here on the open market, just a stopgap, or they're gonna have to address it during the draft.
Yeah, so they drafted 2 guys last year, D. Winters from TCU and Jalen Graham from Purdue. And both of them profile is like, oh, those are guys that the 49ers have been able to develop and turn into starters. But Jalen Graham, I don't believe played a game last year. I think he was a healthy scratch. And if he did play a game or two, he was only special teams. And then D. Winters was largely a special teams guy. It's like, you can't lean on that. The second level is just way too important for what the 49ers do defensively. They have to go get, I mean, maybe it's just re-signing Oren Burks or Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles and trying to run it back with that group. But that makes me nervous. I think you got to do more.
Yep.
So, yeah, Eric Kendricks backing out of that deal. That is a really, really nice get for Dallas, and definitely hurts the 49ers defense. Okay. I have a fun game to play. And what was the other thing we had? Was that it?
I don't know.
Oh, Mike Brown on Keon Ellis.
Yeah.
And the difficulty of making changes to the starting lineup. We will hear that next. And I believe D'Lo from D'Lo and Casey is going to be in today. We're hanging out with you until noon, and then D'Lo and Casey will take over right here on ESPN 1320. Clear.
Do I have time to go get coffee?
What? Oh, you hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. What's up, Chatty House? Eric Armstead would be really good for Miami. Yeah, Steven. Eric's doing all right. That sounds so fun. I want to try this so bad. I've never done a drunk goggle layup contest, but I have been hammered at the state fair and tried to do the basketball shooting thing. The guy at the, because it's the big one where you can like win a basketball, and it's the rim is like an inch smaller than a normal rim, and the ball is like a little bit dilapidated, and it's like a double rim, and it's really hard. It's really hard in general, right? And I was just up there. This guy is just stealing money from me, the game operator. It's like $10 for 3 shots. I'm like, I got this. Go airballed the first one, badly missed the second one, badly missed the third one. And I was like, I need 3 more. And the guy goes, I'll let you have a 4th one for free. It's like, thanks. Shoot it, miss it badly. Like, he was going to give me free shots because he knew I wasn't going to make them. And I think I wound up giving this guy like $50. And didn't, it was just awful. One of those decisions I make that when I have not had too much to drink, I'm like, that's stupid. That's a waste of money. I'm never, ever going to make that shot no matter what. But Kyle 4 or 5 beers deep is like, I got this. It's easy. I do not watch Bad Batch. This is something that I'm trying to, I'm negotiating with my wife on this, because we've typically watched all the Star Wars stuff together, but I'm going to try and finagle my way into getting to watch it by myself.
Which one?
Bad Batch.
Oh, let's see.
Sir, please talk about your all-purpose rubs in a different chat.
I have been watching The Gentleman on Netflix.
I really want to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, are you a Guy Ritchie guy? Have you seen Lock, Stock, and Two
Two
Smoking Barrels
a
or
long
Snatch?
time ago.
And then the preview to this is
90
Gentleman, the movie.
Mhm.
It's like
It
this
looks
is
super fun.
sort of takeoff. Yeah, I mean, it's a little different because it's dragged out over a longer period. They could have done more Guy Ritchie stuff, but it's still fun.
I know. I need to get my smoke. I got a smoker for my wedding, and I have just never gotten it out to use it. That's one of my goals this summer.
All right.
It's mostly laziness on my part. It's not even hard. You fire up the smoker and you just throw the meat on. Like, you got to check it and stuff, but it's not like it's a super labor intensive process.
Yeah, you have to do like homework.
Yeah. That's fine. I can do all that. I can do all the research and get all the equipment I need and stuff. It's the Weber like Smoky Mountain, it's an egg type of smoker. It's not a Traeger. Yeah, Andor was really good. I enjoyed Andor very much. All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I'm Kyle Madsen. He's James Ham. We are rocking with you until noon on Sacramento Sports Leader. I want to remind everybody that if you only get to catch part of the show, or if you wanted to revisit something, or maybe you just want to go back and listen again, you can download the podcast of this show. We upload each hour. We upload clips. We upload the full show. However you want to consume it, we've got it for you. You can go and find the James Ham and Kyle Madsen show. That's what it's called. For a while, we had a very generic logo. We had some folks behind the scenes pulling some strings. Shout out to D-Lo. And got Damian Barling, not D'Angelo Russell. The real D-Lo. Shout out to the real D-Lo. Got our logo, our actual Insiders logo, this one right here, on the podcast. The James Ham and Kyle Madsen show.
Mm-hmm.
Download and subscribe, of course, on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts, and help us out. Make sure you're checking out everything we're doing here at ESPN 1320. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe to the D-Lo and KC podcast as well. Don't ask me why they had to call it the James Ham and Kyle Madsen show.
Yeah, I mean, like, look,
It was a whole thing.
I had this same silly shenanigans when I was at NBC. Like, it was the Kings Insider podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and then it changed to the Purple Talk podcast. I don't know who.
That sounds like a weed podcast.
I don't know who exactly like storyboarded that one or worked. It just like they're like, hey, your podcast is now called this, and it was like, okay, well that's dumb.
Welcome to the Purple Talk Lavender, or
Well,
welcome to the
like-
Purple Talk podcast.
Like
Lavender.
for a group that like thrives on SEO,
Yeah.
like to not have the name Kings in the name, I don't quite get. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Purple Talk podcast.
I don't even want to talk about it, Kyle.
Okay.
Because it got
You
to
don't
a
want to
point
Purple
where
Talk about it?
it got to a point where they didn't want to do the magazine show. What is it called? You know, what are they
Chronicle Live?
no, like
Shout out to Chronicle Live.
no, whatever they do, the magazine show that they do for the Warriors and the Kings and all that stuff. Like it's not like
I've got nothing for
that's
you.
what they call it. It's like the whatever. Like they keep doing they interview players or
King Central?
yeah, King Central,
Yeah.
right? So they got so budget conscious that they wouldn't even just do a standard King Central. They would just send a camera crew out to record me doing a podcast with Doug and with a guest. So the Purple Talk podcast got turned into King Central for 2
Right.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's weird. Like, it is what it is.
Anything else? You good?
No. I would have liked to have had a producer like full time for it. Like there's always like this, like, oh, come on now. Like, what's happening?
You good? No.
Yeah, I'm good.
Keon Ellis now 6-0 as a starter, which
6-0.
It begged the question after the Kings moved to 5-0 with him in the starting lineup. Mike Brown got asked at his post game presser, like, "Hey, is he going to start? Is Keon going to start?" And he more or less is like, "No, it's kind of, there's a lot that goes into that and blah blah blah." Well, Matt George asked last night, what kind of goes into that, and this became a topic of discussion during the press conference. Here's what Mike Brown had to say about the process of changing the starting lineup and the difficulty of that.
There's a lot that goes into it. It comes down to feel. Kevin gives us a lot too. And, does it make us better with Kevin or Keegan or HB coming off the bench just to start Keon? I don't know. I don't have that feel yet. You can always bring Keon in the game early. Keon can still average 20, 25 minutes a game if need be. And so kind of like Malik, just it can give us the luxury of, obviously finishing the way we want to finish, but playing different lineups based on the flow of the game, because we might go out there and the flow of the game might be in our favor with whoever's starting. Okay, let's ride with that. Okay, they want to make a run or they want to do this. You got Malik, you got Keon, you got Davion coming off the bench. And it just adds to what is already a very, very good bench.
That audio is courtesy of James Ham. Thanks, man.
Oh yeah,
appreciate you.
I was there.
You were there. Follow James Ham at James_Ham NBA on Twitter and subscribe to the Kings Beat at thekingsbeat.com and the Kings Beat podcast wherever you get your podcast. Okay. Anyways, he said two things there. One, he said, "I don't have that feel yet. I don't have that feel about is it better with Keon as a starter or not?" I do. I have it, Mike.
I get, but
I got
that's
you, dog.
That's where my point that like his 6-0 is over 65 games.
Right. Yeah, right.
It's not like today.
Yeah.
And Keon's been in and out of the lineup. Like it's hard for him to separate himself from some of the other players.
No doubt.
And I think he's done a really good job. He's been with the team the whole year. He hasn't gone to the G League.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't sent him down.
Yeah, he was on a two-way, but he wasn't two-waying.
Exactly.
He only one-wayed the two-way.
Well, he ran out of two-way games.
Right.
Or he was about to run out
right
at the trade deadline. And that's why they converted him after the trade deadline. So look, this is sort of when you're bringing along a young player, there's always going to be like this question about whether what you're seeing is real or not.
No doubt.
There's always going to be, I think some teams do a better job of bringing players into the fold than others. And, sometimes it does come down to just having faith in a player, and not because you don't have faith in players. It's that you become really comfortable with with the players that you do have faith in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, this team won 48 games last year with Kevin Huerter starting almost every one of them.
Yeah.
He was a huge piece to what they did. He was their third leading scorer. Like it's not just some player that was a one-off, and he was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I look at Mike, might not be as quick to pull the trigger as some other coaches.
Sure.
So like a guy like Michael Malone, he has no choice. Even though he has a team that won the championship last year, he lost Bruce Brown. He lost Jeff Green. He's got to go with, Christian Brown, and he's got to go with guys. What's the other?
Peyton Watson,
and even Zeke Naji.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got to go with those guys because that's what happens when your team hits a certain budget. When you have star players that eat up all of the money, then you have to figure out ways to manage the rest of your roster.
No doubt.
And so maybe Mike Brown is just a little more reluctant to change. That's okay. Right. That's just a feel thing.
Yeah, and I think there's another aspect to this. And again, coming at this from the standpoint of it's super easy for me or you or the chatty house or somebody listening to sit here and go, well, dude, start him. Like, you're clearly better
Yeah.
when Keon. But one of the things with this is, and this is a conversation we had a lot with Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan, and should Lance start or not. This is a key aspect of this. Once you do that, you're committed.
Oh, you're pot committed.
You are fully, there's no going back from that. So
Yeah.
if Mike Brown now with, again, and this is something we touched on yesterday, this team's 11 over 500. This is not like, oh my God, they might miss the play-in, panic button, do something.
Mhm.
This is, hey, you might be better with this guy in the starting lineup. All the stuff that you need in a game, he's providing it. And to Mike Brown's point, to kind of argue against myself here, and to your point, when you say, okay, Kevin Huerter, you're out of the starting lineup. Harrison Barnes, you're out of the starting lineup, whoever it is. Keon, you're starting now. That's it, moving forward. And if that move doesn't work, if your sample size of Keon Ellis minutes, it turns out, was not enough, and he doesn't actually consistently provide as a starter all these things that he's been providing the last couple of nights, you're hosed. You could wind up deep in the play-in where you're losing a play-in game and you're missing the playoffs. And now it gets turned around back on the coach. Now it's like, hey, why would you do that?
Look at that misstep that you did.
Right,
and then
risk,
everybody who's piled on to start Keon.
Right.
They're the same people like, oh, fire him.
Yeah, right.
Look at what he did.
Right.
He screwed up everything.
Right.
I mean, that's a delicate balance, man. And
it
so
super is, dude.
It's not a simple decision. It's not a simple discussion. It's something that, like, it's an organizational decision. And I know D'Lo hates it when I talk about that. Like, these are organizational decisions.
Mhm.
So, like, well, he gives you a better chance to win.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, but what does that mean? Hey, look, if like the value of Kevin Huerter right now probably isn't at its it's not its all-time high.
It's definitely not.
No, but it's also, for some teams around the league, might go, like, look, maybe the situation just isn't right for him anymore. And the problem the Kings have is, like, you're on the hook for 16.8 and 18 million over the next 2 years with Kevin.
Mhm.
And at some point, value does matter. Like, what his value is this summer, you have to consider that. And what does it mean if you're going to replace him with a guy who was literally on a 2-way contract 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. So, like, look, I think Mike said it best, like, the knee-jerk reaction. Like, yeah, Keon's had a couple of good games. And yeah, some guys have had a couple of bad games. But you could also make the argument that up until last night, that you could replace Keegan Murray in the starting lineup as well if you had somebody else.
He had a rough stretch for sure.
I mean, he had a rough stretch. Like, so who are you going to point fingers at today, and how is that going to react? How is that player going to embrace or not embrace the question and the move forward? I mean, how many people this season wanted Harrison Barnes replaced in the starting lineup? So many people in the chat that it's crazy. And why do you not do it? Because if you stay the course, sometimes it all works out in the end. That guys go back. They don't, there's regression to the mean, and then there's also, like, the laws of averages.
Sure.
Like, guys figure out ways to get back to who they were.
Progression to the mean.
Yeah, progression to the mean. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that's a move I would go with, but I understand why Mike wouldn't. What I think we will see, and this is what he said a couple nights ago, I have to figure out ways to get Keon more opportunities. And so I think what we'll see is a little bit of a tweaked rotation going down the stretch here, where you do start seeing Keon with running with the starters, certainly, but probably not starting games, is how I think that's going to wind up going.
No, that makes sense to me. And, the other thing I think we could also point to is that Kevin Huerter, usually when he misses a game, he rebounds pretty substantially.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, last time he missed a Philly game. He came back out the next night and had 26 and 10, shot 6 of 9 from 3. Like, sometimes, like we talked about with Keegan, maybe sometimes taking a step back for a day clears your head and gets you right back in the right frame of mind. Look, whatever they decide to do, I'll keep saying this. Mike Brown is a spectacular head coach. Like
Doing a great job.
the Sacramento Kings, just for people who haven't been listening for the last, what are we talking, 38 years the Kings have been in Sacramento now. In all that time, this team has finished over 500 9 times. 8 of those came in one stretch under Rick Adelman. The only other time this team has ever finished over 500 in Sacramento was last season, and they're going to do it again. So anyone out there who, like, this is a good coach, and you need to let him do what he thinks is best for the team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, you can go back and dissect it and write your eulogy for the season whenever you want. But you got to give a coach some leeway to coach his team the way that he wants.
Damian Barling in the building, everybody.
He's
not here for the handoff just yet, but he will be. I'm Damian. I'm going to loop you in on the fun game I have to play about the game last night.
Oh,
all right. James, to finish up that point, the Kings won their 38th game of the year last night.
Yep.
Mike Brown, of course, led the Kings to 48 wins last year. The Kings have hit 38 wins. So since their last playoff appearance in 05-06, the Kings had gotten to 38 or more wins twice.
Yeah, I've covered
Mike
2.
Brown arrives.
Dave Yeager, 39 wins, and Mike Brown last year.
Yeah. They won 38 in 07-08, and they won 39 in 18-19. And they won their 38th game last night with 17 games to go.
Yeah.
That's where this whole Keon Ellis thing is a matter of, from Mike Brown's perspective, this is still a team that's 11 over, man. This is not dire circumstances. Flip the switch. Everything needs to change. Now, if they get in a playoff series, that is where I think we might see the Keon Ellis button get pushed if they go down, 0-2 in a series or something like that. But that is a much different circumstance than sitting here in the middle of March.
Yeah, I think we're at a point where you really have to have a pulse on the 18 guys that are in your locker room. And right now they're close to 18 there almost every day.
Yep.
Like with the G League guys are around a lot. Either way, the 15-man roster, you need to be very cognizant of what each person means to everybody else in the grand scheme of things, not just on the court, but off the court and how they'll react to something. And like, look, sometimes pulling off the Band-Aid and like making a tough decision is the right move. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we know a whole lot less than the head coach of the Sacramento Kings about who should be starting and what the impact would be if you did make a change within the walls of that room.
It's the handoff. Damian Barling, D'Lo, and KC coming up here at noon. Would you like to talk about Keon Ellis starting, or would you like to play a game?
I'd like to
Or
talk
both?
about. I'd like to do whatever you want. What's it? Let's do the game.
Okay, great. We've talked about Keon a lot today, and I'm sure you
We're
guys
going to
will
talk about Keon.
on coming up on D'Lo and KC. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you 5 good things that happened in last night's Kings game.
Okay.
Their 120-107 win over the Lakers. And you guys have to rank them 1 through 5, but I'm not going to tell you what else is coming up. You have to decide in the moment whether you want to rank that the best at 1 or the least best thing at number 5. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I'm going to tell you, Domantas Sabonis moves to 10-0 against Anthony Davis. He's never lost a game, never lost against Anthony Davis. Is that the best thing that happened last night? Number 1? Or is that like number 5? I'm like, yeah, it's a cool thing, but
Without knowing the other 4,
Right,
it's
that's-
probably
yeah.
like 5.
Okay,
It's
number 5.
it's like that is great for us.
Mhm.
That like and if there's even a sniff that Anthony Davis is All-NBA and Domas is not,
Woo!
we're pointing to this.
Woo!
Not just, I mean, we're talking 4-0 this year. We're talking 7-1 in the last 2 years. And the numbers are Domas has better assists. He has more rebounds. The only thing AD has is a Laker uniform and a handful more points.
Yeah.
Like that of all of the things that happened last night. I again, without knowing the other ones, I'll go 5.
Yeah, I'm going to say 4. I think you're right. Like
1 for the fans, though. That one might be 1 for the fans.
Oh yeah,
But in
no,
terms
no.
of like legit importance, I'm gonna go 5.
Well, and it actually might mean something to Domas because that might be the one thing that's gained traction for him this entire season
Sure.
nationally.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing like the Bleacher Report thing and all that
Shout out
stuff.
Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins.
Perkins has been on that all season.
That was spectacular, his tweet.
Oh, it was incredible.
Mhm.
Incredible.
Shout out Big Perk. All right, Damian, you just alluded to this. The Kings moved to 4-0 against the Lakers this season, just their second time sweeping Los Angeles. First time they've done it since 2015-16. Where does that one rank for you?
Oh, man. I'm going to go shoot. I think I'm going to go. I'm going to go crap. 2. I think I'm going to go 2.
2.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2 because there's still a seeding race here.
Yeah.
And having beaten the Lakers 4 times means you got the games on them. Obviously, it means you got the tiebreaker on them. I'm going to go conservatively 2 right now.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3.
3?
Yeah, I get where you're at, though. I mean, it was monumental. Like, the game last night wasn't as much as the one before where you won the season series.
Mm-hmm.
But then last night, you just put them away. Like, there's no way for them to catch you.
And you backed up, irrespective of the team they played, they backed up a great performance with another great performance.
For sure.
For like the first time all year.
For sure.
On
Might have
top
been the
of-
best 2 games they've played in a row all season.
Let's do Harrison Barnes goes nuts. 23 points, 8 of 15 from the field. He was 7 of 11 from beyond the arc. 12 fourth quarter points, helped slam the door and close that game. Where does that one land?
That's a formula for winning, man. When Harrison plays like that, that's usually a really good sign for Sacramento. I'm getting nervous, but I'm going to go 3.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go 3 right there.
I'm going to go 2 because I think
Wow.
it gave you a glimmer into what the Kings can look like with a defensive-minded player in the starting lineup.
Yeah, he's been really good defensively, and you see what they can do when he goes off offensively. Keegan Murray comes back into the starting lineup and lights it up after missing Tuesday night's game. 19 points, 11 boards, 3 assists. He was 7 of 13 from the field and 5 of 10 from beyond the arc wall, playing superb defense as well.
I'm
You
down
have
to
you have 1 and
I'm
4.
down to 1 and 4.
Yeah, I'm down to 1 and 5.
I don't know what. I'm sniffing maybe a Keon Ellis thing.
Oh boy,
man, crap. I think I'm gonna go 1. I think that might be the one. Like Keegan on the defensive end, hitting shots, being efficient, like grabbing rebounds, kind of doing everything. I don't like this game, but I think I'll have to do 1.
I'm going 5 because I love what he did, but that's who he should be. And like, it doesn't have to be 19, but that's what I kind of expect. I love the rebound numbers. I love everything else. I need to see it every night.
This is the worst game ever.
I can't see it one game out of 5 or something. Like, he had a double-double last night, 19 points, 11 rebounds. Like, spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who are
You
you
say
on
it again.
Saturday when things get really crazy against OG Anunoby and
Negative
very-
hammer over here.
very
what about
tough Knicks team.
what about Josh Hart? Are you is that what it is?
Be grimy.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm using for that
Yeah.
game. That is a grimy game.
Yeah.
That is New York hip hop in the 90s.
All right.
That's what James, you get that reference.
Yeah.
That's
James all about it,
it's
yeah.
going to be a grimy game against the
Okay.
New York Knicks.
All right,
Yeah.
very quickly here. Last one you mentioned it, D'Lo. Keon Ellis moves to 6-0 as a starter. 28 minutes, 14 boards. 14 points, 8 deflections.
Yeah, that's
according to
amazing.
Mike Brown.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that being ranked as 4. Like now, with having the whole, I might have moved that up to 3. I don't know that I would shake too many things up now, knowing all of them.
Mhm.
Keon being 6-0 is awesome. He was a huge part of what the Sacramento Kings have done, not just last night, but the last 2 nights.
Yeah.
And Mike has a task in front of him of making sure he gets significant minutes and that he's not getting put into the game like when things are out of control and he has to come in and try to save things. Like there's got to be like a flow to the game when Keon enters it, man, because he's a difference maker for the Sacramento Kings. It feels like he certainly has been this week, James.
20 seconds.
I'm really comfortable at number 1 because I think this shines it gives Mike Brown every bit of whatever to say this offseason, I need more of this.
Well,
I need
okay,
more of who
that's
this
the-
guy is.
And that's what's going to open a lot of discussions that we're about to have.
Yeah.
James Ham, you had Keon Ellis 1, Harrison Barnes 2, the season sweep of the Lakers 3, Domas 10-0 against Anthony Davis 4, Keegan Murray's big night number 5, D'Lo. You went Keegan number 1.
Yeah.
You had sweep of the Lakers 2, Harrison Barnes 3, Keon Ellis 4, and then the Domas 10-0 against Anthony Davis number 5. Can't wait to hear your guys' discussion about that. I hope Kenny's okay.
Okay, Lake Show.
Kenny's great.
Yeah, I know. I'm really fired up. Keon Ellis talk, lots of Lakers, lots of Kings coming up on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports.